inviting me. So ladies, I was here a few months ago. You remember I was sitting back there in the corner, just kind of observing, taking in some information, reading your bios. No, just kidding. And so a little bit about me. My name is Wendy Perry. I put a card in front of you, and I wasn't sure if you'd have my bio in advance, but the short version of my bio is that I was an Army nurse for about 22 years, was a nurse for 25 years, retired from the Army after 22 years. I know, you can't believe it. She's like, and you're only 25. How is that possible? And so I do have a lot of experience as a leader, but also in a female-dominated profession, but a male-dominated organization. And so some of what we'll talk about today is how do you leverage that femininity in a male-dominated organization? Many of you work in male-dominated organizations. And so I just wanted to give you that short bio, because usually I have somebody read, you ever been somewhere and they read like your whole 1.5 page, and that's so, what do you think about that? Would you have been like, yeah, wah, wah. We've heard all that before, all the great and wonderful things you've done, and whenever somebody reads my bio, I'm like, wow, she did a whole lot of stuff. If you're interested, it's actually on our website, and I can provide it for you. So when I turn, you're going to see a little box on my back. It's a microphone. It's not sexy, but it's there. So I don't go, wow, I wonder if she has some kind of illness or something. Everybody needs music. Everybody else have a theme song? You do? Good. Okay, so I told you a little bit about me. And so recently I had to consider who I am and what I represent. So a couple of things, and I would always tell people, I am what you see before you know what I am. Who I am, what I've done. The first thing you see starts to formulate your thoughts. And you all have been taught that already. You've been doing this for a minute, right? And so that first impression is so important. How much time do you spend preparing for that first impression? Okay, just it doesn't require feedback. You'll have time to give me feedback a little bit later. And I move a lot, and I talk like this. So I'll start here, and then I'll get into a story, and then I'll come back. So just hang with me. So up here, I told you a little bit about me, and this became my mantra. I'm like, wow, how did William Shakespeare know I was going to be born? I mean, and so I encourage you, when I was here, the young lady talked about branding. I encourage you to find something that represents you. And this represents me. And I embody it. I'm like, yeah, I am small. Well, I used to be smaller, but I'm small. But I'm fierce. And I carry that. So even if nobody else knew, before I got here, I was like, yep, I am. I'm little, but I know what I'm doing. So I encourage you to get one of those. So Tinkerbell, okay, that's kind of a, You're going to say, oh, Tinkerbell doesn't sound very aggressive, assertive. Doesn't sound very serious, does it? Well, it's interesting because in one of my leadership jobs, that nickname was given to me. And I'm like, really? Tinkerbell? But what do we know about Tinkerbell? I know, you're like, oh, okay. And I know, because everybody talks about millennials, and you probably don't remember and all that, but Peter Pan just came out again. It comes out like every 10 years. If you live long enough, you'll see Peter Pan. But Tinkerbell, and let me slow down because my husband will say, you started talking fast. That's because my Diet Coke just kicked in. But Tinkerbell goes around sprinkling what? Pixie dust, right? Mm-hmm. And then that pixie dust does something for people. And so when she first said, I'm going to call you Tinkerbell, I said, Ginger, I take offense to that. You're not taking me seriously. But she was right, because one of the things I was able to do was go to different groups, even if I didn't know the people, and inspire them and motivate them and empower them to do things they had not done before. So then we had Halloween coming around, and I'm like, I don't even do Halloween, but you better believe I came in there with my wings and my wand, and there are pictures that show that, and I embodied that. So it's like, okay, so do you remember when I was here? Yes, ma'am. Yvonne?
Tinkerbell is also very persistent and determined.
And feisty.
Yes, and see, that's you too.
and sassy. Wait, hold on. Let me get my sassy on. Okay, yes. So all those things. So again, somebody else gave me the name, and initially I was like, you got me all wrong. But then I thought about it, and I said, actually, she had me all right. You all did an exercise where you had other people give you feedback on what they see about you. And some of you were like, yep, that was right on, and she knows me, and I can't believe you figured all that out just from a little bit. And then some of you were like, oh, you don't know me at all. I don't know where you got this. But the exercise was to show you, hey, sometimes the people outside of you give you a lot of feedback that you're not even aware of. So I embrace Tinkerbell. So I'm small, I'm fierce, I'm like Tinkerbell, I'm not Tinkerbell, but I am Wonder Woman. Not just kidding. Okay, so when I was here, remember I said I virtually selected a red M&M, and my favorite hero is Wonder Woman. I grew up watching Wonder Woman, and so I'm like, I got my Wonder Woman cup. And that makes me, it's like, oh, okay. So here's a quick story, and then you're going to be like, man, is she going to spend a whole hour on this first slide? No. But we went to McDonald's, and not too long ago, and I don't encourage or endorse McDonald's. It's horrible for you, but it's great when you're in a rush and you're on the go. And they have Diet Coke. And so we went to McDonald's, and I got a Happy Meal. And I was like, I can eat that, but I can eat in small portions. So when I get a Happy Meal, it makes me happy, and it makes me feel like I'm eating in small portions. So I pulled out my toy, because they always say, is it for a girl or a boy? And I go, a girl? And my husband goes, really? And I'm like, yes. And there was a Wonder Woman tiara in there. I was so excited. I couldn't wait. I tore into it. I put it on. And I have two teenage daughters, and they were like, really? They rolled up their windows, because we have tinted windows in the back. They're like, I can't be seen. I kept it on. I sat through dinner at home just with my I was walking around. I was like, hey, look, look. And yeah, they didn't get it. But I got it, and it made me feel something. So again, if you don't know, or you've been searching for what that thing is that motivates you, or what you need to embody, or what you need to adapt, think about those things, because I didn't even realize how much Wonder Woman actually had been an impact in my life. All right, yes, there's more than one slide. So back to why I'm here today. So it was interesting, because I was talking to Shay briefly, and she said, well, how many times have you done this presentation? I said, this is the first time I'm doing this presentation. How many times have I been referred to as a powerhouse? More than I can count. But I put this together just for you, because you don't want to know about how I became who I became, or how I became who I am, or why Tinkerbell or Wonder Woman means anything to me. What you want to know is how you tap into who you are, and how you then embody that power and that presence, right? I think that's why we're here. Yes? Okay, good. Let's see if we can talk about that a little bit. So these are some of the things, and consistently when you ask women, and I have a heart for women. I don't necessarily like women, but I have a heart for women in business, and because I have seen so much and worked with so many, and I'm like, wow, I just need to share this. So these are some of the things when we ask, and I asked Rachel, I said, well, what do we want to talk about? What do they want to hear about? And so many of you are concerned that if you come across assertive, you're coming across aggressive. And that may be received negatively. Anybody in here have that experience? Really? Wait, did you get negative feedback, or did you just think it was negative? Okay, y'all can talk. I heard. Yeah, okay. Being a woman in a male-dominant office, performance under pressure, team building, goal setting, all those things. That's what you've been learning over the past several months, and what you'll continue to learn. But these are things that, again, the mysteries. How do you do it? Why did I talk to Rachel? She gave me 2 options to come speak to you about. And I said, oh, you made that one just for me. That is the one. I'm coming to that one. I want to talk about that. You're like, okay, so talk about it. The B word. Yeah, so a lot of us are hesitant to be bold and to be assertive, because, you get out there and you rub somebody the wrong way, surely they're going to call you the B word, right? What is the B word? Don't say it. Where they may say, and I've been called all of these, and it's okay, because just like Tinkerbell, sometimes they're right. And so, yeah, there's some profanity in here, but I meant to do a little disclaimer. I told Rachel I'll do a disclaimer in the beginning. There are 3 words, but I use them many times. So it's not to offend you, but it is my presentation. Just kidding. No, see. Now, was that assertive? Was that aggressive? There's a little bit of humor, right? But I could be like, well, hey, you just have to sit here and listen to what I'm saying, whether it's interesting or not. You're here. All right. Okay. So, the top one I've been called many, many times. The second one I hadn't been called till I came to Georgia. And I'm like, oh, and that's an ugly dog that they have out there. I mean, they could have chosen anything, but and I'm like, okay. And so, well, pretty to us. I have learned to embrace, and I said, oh, there's power in that. There's pride in that. It's recognizable. I'll be a bulldog, sure. And the gentleman that called me a bulldog in a meeting, I was in a meeting for an IRB with all physicians and a couple of scientists, and they think they know everything. And an IRB is an internal review board for research review board. And so we were sitting there. He's like, oh yeah, I want to introduce you to Lieutenant Colonel Perry, and she just joined orthopedics, and she's a real bulldog. And I'm like, really, Craig? Is that what we're doing now? I think I just met you last week. I'm a real bulldog. And they're like, and I'm like, who are you people? So anyway, okay, I'm sorry. But these are some of the things that we think that people are thinking and maybe saying when we present ourselves. So when we walk in that first impression, you don't want it to be one of these, right? Or do you? I don't know. So when I say the B word, I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and put it up there, because if I had waited for you all to each give me a word, then my whole presentation would have been done. And so these are the other B words that might work a little bit better for you. And you can own them, and you can be proud of them. You can own the ones on the left as well. I mean, I came out bossy. I came out early. I was born early, couldn't even wait. I know, you're like, really? Okay, so that was another story. So there I was. No, okay. So yeah, I was born early, didn't even wait to get to the delivery room. So, I think the Lord said something is about to happen. Ta-da! No, okay. So, bold, brave, beautiful, bright, bodacious. I love that word. When you say it, okay, everybody say bodacious. You can't really say it without smiling, right? It's like bodacious. Okay. So, I thought this was interesting too, because one of my challenges was that I got in my own way. A lot of what I preconceived was truly preconceived. It wasn't feedback that I had received. It was what I thought about myself. When I saw this quote, I said, wow, we're casting our own shadows. We are putting negativity or displacement or mistrust or, I don't know if I can be confident in that person before we ever even enter into the office, the interview, or the arena. Yeah. Well, no, that was just me, not you all. So, I don't know why on this screen it comes out as PIE, but that's fine. So, years ago, when I was very young, like just kidding. When I was in college, I met a gentleman who was a retired general. And, being in the Army, you meet a general officer. That's like the biggest of the big CEO. That's like meeting the president. And so we were having a conversation, and he said, hey, let me do some quick mentoring with you. And I'm like, why me? Why did I have to be standing right here next to you, old man? What are you going to tell me that I don't already know? Because, I was in college. So, by that point, I knew it all. And he said, okay, it's pie. Let's talk about pie. And I said, really? We're going to talk about pie? Like the slice of pie. This is in Texas, by the way. So, up there, ladies, you see performance, image, experience. So this is where you start interacting with me, because it's a little bit warm in here, and I don't think it's just because I'm reaching that point where I'm getting a little warm on my own. So what is most important, performance, image, or experience? That's a question. They're equal. You said they're equal? They're all equal. Y'all saying that because my pie up here is all equal. I'm not asking you for an interpretation of the slide. Think about it. Okay, let me reframe that question. Which one is more important than the others? I agree, they're all important. So that was an excellent answer. Excellent answer, Megan. Which one is more important than the others? Performance. Performance. Everybody said, who else said performance? You did? Okay. You said performance too? Laura. Okay. I'm like, oh, the names are kind of, okay. Good. Performance. Anybody? What do you all think? Because they got it over here.
I think half the job is just showing up and being present and being there, just having me. I think that kind of goes, to me, that goes with image.
Is that right? Man. Sabina, here you go. Come on and do this talk. Yes. It was interesting because I said performance. Most people say performance. It's whether or not you can do the job. Women say performance. I have to make sure I can do it. I have to make sure I know how to do it, how to do the next thing, how to do what they may ask me, but I didn't know they were going to ask me. Performance is not the most important. Isn't that something? You could not know what you were doing, but look like you know how. There are commercials about it. There's like one, the guy's a DJ, but he's doing financial counseling. Anybody seen that? I'm like, that's not real, but it's kind of real. I enjoy it because I'm like, wow, he really came off as knowing what he was talking about. Just like I'm up here right now, you don't have my bio. So you really don't know if what I told you is true or not, but I think I'm believable. I'm a nurse. I learned very early that the people I was caring for trusted me. And I had a responsibility to, yes, be competent, but they didn't know what I knew. And they didn't know what I didn't know until they asked. Make sense? So I had to be the thing that I wanted them to see and trust and know before they had an opportunity to even know. So what does that mean? That means you all want to know how to be a powerhouse. You have to be a powerhouse first and then figure it out. Nobody's going to say, oh, let me see your credentials. Really? Like right now while I'm walking down the street? No. When you're in that meeting, is somebody going to say, let me see what you're writing down there? Guess what? We're no longer in school. You're not going to get in trouble for writing things down on your paper. Let me see those notes that you took. Because sometimes we write notes and we're like, I hope nobody ever sees these notes. Who's going to see those notes? Unless you leave them. So make sure you keep them. So yes, but what he shared with me was image was more important than performance. And I disagreed. I said no. I got to be the best. Image is not that important. But it is. Experience, though, I thought experience was the next one. I had performance and then I had experience and I had image last. Because I thought you had to have experience. And especially at my age now, and especially as a nurse, we always say that, oh, you need to have at least 4 years of experience before you'll understand this. And older women tend to do that to you even now. Oh, honey, just wait. It'll come to you. You just work a little bit longer. I know. See, that's my Georgia. I'm from DC, but that's what I get. Just wait a little bit longer, and it'll come to you. And wait your turn, because it'll come. Guess what? Nope. Don't have to. So, okay. So I go on about pie. Performance, preparation, Sabina, thank you, and presence. Most of my presentation today is about presence. I broke down, again, intelligence, influence, and image. Image is so important. If I had come in here today like I came in here yesterday, you would be less impressed. Let me tell you. And when I came in, I said, Rachel, I'm coming in just like this, in my jeans and a ponytail. Expression, excellence, and experience. So while you all said they are equally important, they are all important, but not equal. Okay? Presence, being your best self when it matters. So how do you make sure that you're your best self, and when does it matter? Anybody? It always matters. Yeah, you had that branding talk, and she said you have to be on all the time. You cannot go to Walmart looking a mess. If you own a store where you sell clothes, and she wears those clothes all the time. I go to work about 25 steps from my house, and I go to work like this. No, just kidding. No, I don't. No, I don't. But when it matters, when we have a meeting or an engagement or a presentation, I can't be in a position where I say, oh no, all I have is, those pants, those one pair of black pants that might be too tight, and my shoes that are kind of run over. And well, what am I going to do at the lab? What am I going to wear? And this is not about having money, because let me tell you, a lot of what I have, I got from Goodwill. Because there are people who make a whole lot more money than me. They go through their clothes a lot faster than I do. And I can go in there. I got some Miss Me jeans at Goodwill for $5. I had them on yesterday. Okay. So mystery solved. So you came here to get some answers. Here are your answers, because clearly I know it all. You could ask me anything. I have an answer, just like your mentors. Yvonne knows it all. Rachel knows most of it. But she told me yesterday she's a little short on IT, and she's afraid to say, oh, I'm putting your business out there. She didn't want to say that because she's a millennial, and everybody says, here, fix this. And she's like, I'm not really a millennial. I mean, I am, but I'm not. But knowledge, you all have been working on this for a long time. You've been to school, or you can go to school and get more knowledge. Preparation, you've been doing a lot of preparing. Ever since you were in kindergarten or preschool, you've been being prepared, and you've been preparing. Attitude, I don't even need to talk about it. Empowerment, and then presence. We keep coming back to presence. So there are 3 women I'm going to talk about today and introduce you to. Are any of you in here familiar with any of the 3 names up there? Anyone seen any one of them? That's awesome. I did some research. I'm like, let me find the most obscure. No, just kidding. You all, as you advance in business, I know everybody says you need to get a book. Read a book. This will tell you everything. Who in here loves to read? Who are you people? Who does not love to read? Okay, don't pretend. It's okay, Christine. You love to read. You just don't love to read a lot. That's what it is. You don't want War and Peace. You want the Cliff's Notes. I'm like that. So, Lakeisha, Rachel Jane, and Amy. Now, Amy, I'm going to talk about again. Lakeisha Latimer is actually one of the young women that I mentor. And I was so excited about her because she could be my mentor. And that's how I feel in every relationship that I enter into. Because people say, well, I'd love for you to be my mentor. And I'm like, wow, well, what can I learn from you? And they're like, well, is that how that works? Yes. And so anyway, she's written 2 books. And I'm like, how did you... I've been talking about writing a book for a long time, and 2 books. She's like, hey, I need you to write the foreword for my book. And I'm like, really? I can do that. But if I could do that, I could probably write your whole book, which meant I had to read her whole book. It was great. And her book was called Jump. So here's something interesting. Is anybody else familiar with a book called Jump? No? Okay, so she was about to release her book, and she found out that Steve Harvey was releasing a book entitled Jump at the same time. So there are many of us in here, and you don't have to raise your hand, that would have said, maybe I need to change my title. That's Steve Harvey. And she said, no, I'm not changing it, because I said, I advise you to read his book and then make your determination. And she said, it's totally different. He's coming from a totally different angle. I'm not changing it. And JUMP stands for Just Utilizing Maximum Potential. It's awesome. And she's talking about, and she relates to and uses metaphors, but she's talking about jumping from an airplane. That is something that just because I was in the Army that I would never do. Just so you know, that is not one of my credentials. And so anyway, so Lakeisha is a great friend of mine and just a lovely lady. And she posted something on Facebook recently. As a matter of fact, I have it right here. Let me read this to you, because if I don't read it, I'll get it wrong and I may miss something. So what she posted on Facebook kind of struck me, and this is what it said. And that's Lakeisha. Those are her 2 books. My official grades are in, and I'm so proud that I completed this Master of Science in Nursing Administration degree with a perfect GPA, 4.0, summa cum laude. Okay, so we all know, hey, that's a big deal, right? And I started this degree in February 2014 with a 2-year-old son, a husband, a full-time job, and a load of church responsibilities. She's actually a pastor. And I got pregnant with son number 2 almost immediately. And while she was pregnant, I can tell you that she contracted a horrible illness. She had meningitis and was in the hospital. And I'm like, what in the world? And so anyway, and then she put underwent over a year worth of delays from military moves and clinical approval sites. So my 20-month plan turned into a 36-month plan. Anybody else have that? Yeah, okay. And process, but I made it. And I didn't just survive. I excelled every step of the way with life, throwing any and everything it could to me, emotionally and mentally, to distract and dismantle me. I published 2 books in the process, and this is why I'm so proud. Not for the grades, not for the perseverance and tenacity it took to make sure the negative things in my life never won. I hope that encourages someone else that they too can overcome anything to achieve their goals and dreams. I'm like, man, this Facebook is awesome. She posted that on Facebook, and I thought, okay, And then it made me think about how people say, oh, you remember the mom who posted pictures of herself and she was all fit and looking all awesome with her 3 sons, and she said, what's your excuse? And everybody said she was fat shaming. And I'm thinking, well, unless you feel ashamed, she's not. She is owning what she did, just like this. You don't have to downplay your accomplishments or your achievements to make other people feel good. They're going to feel the way that they feel, despite how you present it, despite how assertive or aggressive you are. They're going to take their own. I could have come in and said hello, and somebody could have said, oh, she's a real bee. You just don't know. You can't control that. So anyway, but I wanted to share that with you because that's real, and I'm proud of her. But I had nothing to do with what she's doing. But my job is to not only take what she's done and be inspired by it, learn from it, but share it, which is why I was so excited. I'm coming to share. And I'm not telling you to buy her book, because Christina and I don't like to read. You don't have to buy the book, but you do need to research. You need to know there are resources out there that are designed just to inspire you. And you need to tap into them, because guess what? There is so much in the world designed to tear you down that you need to be equipped with the things that will bring you up. Yes? Yes. So, Rachel Jane Groover. I had never heard of her, and she plays a bass guitar. She's a performer. And she came up with the art of feminine presence. And I'm like, what is this? This is awesome. I'm going to talk to women. I need to read this whole book. I read the first few, no, just kidding. I read the book, and I was so inspired by it. And I get emails from Rachel Jane Groover like every day. Wendy, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, this woman has a great business model. Because she's not sending me those emails, but she has it designed so that the emails are being sent. And they're reaching and inspiring everybody who has shown an interest in what she's doing. But what she says is, hey, it's okay to be sexy if you're sexy. And own that. Oh, okay, so y'all are like, okay, I don't know if I want to own sexy. Okay, it's okay to be professional. Own being professional. I have had so many times where people said, it didn't take all that. Oh, really? Well, it did for me. Maybe you didn't do all that. Maybe you didn't want to wear a suit. But guess what? I did, and it makes a difference. So, okay, I'm sorry. Enough about me. So, talk about Rachel Jane. So, look her up. And then Amy Cuddy talks about the art of presence. And I said, oh, I only love her because she references Wonder Woman. No, she's a social psychologist, and she said and learned that guess what? How you feel about yourself is not just what you tell yourself in your mind and based on what other people have put in. It is about what you believe. So you have to make yourself know how great you are. Isn't that simple? That's awesome. You don't have to read the whole book, Christine. Here we go. Presence. When we feel powerless, we cannot be present. In a way, presence is power, a special kind of power that we confer on ourselves. So even if you didn't think that my bio was interesting, even if you didn't think that anything that I said was noteworthy, even if you said, wow, I was really excited about this, but now it's hot and she's putting me to sleep, guess what? I'm still powerful. And I'm going to keep my power because I cannot allow you or anyone else to take that from me. But that's what we do every time we go into the office. We could start out awesome. We could put on something great, and it's like, oh yeah, this is cute. And you walk in and somebody says, oh. And then all of a sudden, all of that cute just went down to your shoes. And it's like, wow, you put too much work in to coordinate those glasses with that blouse, and you did a great job. All right, so you are what you think, but what you do can shape who you are. Is that true? Is it? All right. Thank you, Rachel, because I'm like, it's hot, I'm sweating. Is this true? All right, y'all gonna force me. I was told, oh yeah, they love to answer questions. All right, Asia, is that a true statement?
For me, no, it's not.
Oh, why not? What makes, okay, so it is true or it's not? It is not true. What you do can shape who you are. Yes, it can. You're like, no, it can't. So tell me, why is it not true for you?
For me, everything about me is a mind thing. If I think that I am this person, then that's what I'm going to do. Or that's what I'm going to be.
Okay.
Or say, or whatever.
Okay. Good. And you've been taught that? Or you just did it?
I just do it.
You just do it.
Yeah.
Do you do daily affirmations? Do you look in the mirror and say,
Yeah.
And what do you tell yourself?
Every day I go into work because I've been called the B word.
Bold.
I just tell myself I'm gonna go in here. I'm having a bad day, so I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm having a good day. Or when I go to this meeting, I'm going to pay attention. I know it's gonna be a very boring meeting, so I'm gonna act like I'm paying attention. Or sometimes I have a goal of I'm going to help at least one person today,
Okay.
or something like that.
And that works?
Yes, that works for me.
Okay. And you don't get veered off course. You say it at the beginning and you carry it through
Oh, no, I can get weird off course.
Okay. And I figured I'm just kind of picking with you. Anybody else? Do you do what Asia does? No? What do you, okay, yes, Sabina.
I think the mind is a very powerful thing. So I agree with the first part where it says you are what you think. So if you tell yourself you're going to have a bad day, or I woke up this morning and it's going to be a really terrible day, it's probably going to be a pretty bad day. And I think if you wake up and you tell yourself today's going to be a good day, or that meeting, I'll learn something from that meeting. Or
Yes.
just having some type of positivity in your thought will turn your day around completely. That's what I think.
Okay. Good. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. That's awesome. And you're right, the mind is very powerful. But how many of you, and I always use weight because women, we're sensitive to weight. And I'm not afraid to talk about my own. I'm a little bit overweight, but I'm still sexy. So when we talk about weight, so when I get on the scale or I look at myself, I get feedback. And that feedback is either, girl, you are rocking it, or girl, you are not. But it's my body giving me feedback to my mind, and then my mind believes what my body is giving me. Does that make sense? I was trying to, okay. So even if you didn't believe that, let's do this. So your body language shapes who you are, sends a message sometimes louder than your words. So if I stood up here like this the whole time, or I stood behind the podium the whole time, different message, right? And I'm an introvert. No, just kidding. But by changing and this is what Amy's research was. She did lots of research. This is evidence-based. If any of you are in healthcare, those are the buzzwords. This has been tried, true, proven again, proven by somebody else, written 3 times. Evidence-based research. That by changing your posture or position and holding it for a few minutes, you can actually change how you feel. And when you change how you feel, you change how you think. What do you think? Yes, Megan.
I'm a therapist, and so one of the things I teach all my clients is smiling. Like, just smile for a while you're feeling bad, smile, and your body will start releasing all these endorphins, and you'll start to feel better. I have to do it myself sometimes. It's a bad day, like, let me just go in here and smile. I might look stupid for a minute, but I'm going to start to feel better after a while, so yeah.
Yeah. You do believe it. Isn't that interesting? So everybody smile. I know, and some people are like, yeah, I'm not a smiler. Yes, you are. When you're happy, when you feel good, when you're by yourself, there are times when you smiled. And if you smiled when you were a young lady, but then you somehow lost your smile, then your job is to find my smile. Write that one down. Those of you that don't smile, no, okay. So here we go, some high power versus low power body language. So when I came in 2 months ago and when I came in today, I was looking at each of you and how you were sitting at the table. I was at the Chamber After Hours event, and I saw the young lady, is it Kiera, who was there, and it was so funny because when Rachel called her up, and she was like, oh, I could just kill you right now, Rachel. That was kind of, but she got up and she was like, okay. And she got up there and she used a little humor, but you all already know that about her. She uses humor. So she used a little humor to make herself feel comfortable, which was awesome. I knew that about her because I was here, but nobody else knew that about her. And then she's like, okay, now that I'm here, there is something I'm supposed to be saying. And she went right into what her organization does, how they do it. And as she began to talk, she got more specific and more deliberate and more comfortable. It was so awesome. I was so inspired and so excited to see it. Because I'm like, oh no, just like Rachel and the other people that were like, oh, what is she gonna do? Because she's in the Women on the Way program. I hope she didn't go up there and pass out. No, but she did great. But again, high power versus low power. So I looked at you. And so look at these postures. Isn't that interesting? Do you ever think about yourself from this perspective? So I took notes, and I'm going to give you each notes. No, just kidding. I didn't, but I took that information in. I said, oh, that person's tired. That person worked last night, or they worked the last 2 nights. That person hates their job. That person loves their job. That person is here for an interview, or that person is thinking about joining the chamber, so they want to make sure that they dress the part, look the part, talk the part every time they come in. Ah, okay. Do you agree with this? Okay, so everybody sit up straight. Oh, that's what your mom told you. Sit up straight, pull your shoulders back, make good eye contact, and smile. If you were not given that training, you missed out. Because guess what? That's what you should do. Now here's the thing. Sure, I could sit up straight and I could have great eye contact and I could smile if I'm interested in what's going on. But when I'm not interested, what do you exhibit? Some of these low power poses, right? You go into the meeting, which of these are you doing? I know. Or you lean on one hand. Okay, so here's what I do. And this is a free one. My husband always says, don't give away anything free. It's not free. You cannot run a business giving away free stuff. This is a free one. This is what I do. At a meeting, I take a notebook that I never lose. And I listen to the questions or the topic that's being discussed, and I write down my response at the top. I spend the rest of the time writing notes to myself about things that I like. I don't draw pictures because people can see pictures and they're like, but if I'm writing, it looks like I'm taking notes on what they're saying. I don't care what they're saying, but they don't know that I don't care what they're saying. But I'm prepared with an answer, every time it goes down, just in case they call me. Because the worst thing that can happen is they say, oh, Carrie, what'd you think about that? And you're like, Fast and Furious is coming out. No, you don't want to be caught like that. So that's a Perry thing. That's something that I do, and I always do it. And I write horrible stuff. Like if some guy is up there, and let me tell you most recently, if you pull my little notebook and it's purple and it says, though she be but little, she is fierce. But the guy was talking and I said, fat, bald, middle-aged, red, white, and blue tie, obsolete. Now, if he saw that, it'd be like, oh, right? If he saw it, I would have said, yes, I wrote that about someone else. So Amy talks about Wonder Woman, and that's why I love her, but it's great, but it's social psychology. But here's the thing, power posing, it's a thing. And guess what? You're all gonna do it. Yeah. You're like, okay, yeah, no, actually, ladies, go ahead and stand up. stand, because it's hot and we're fading. Stand, stand. So, my family will tell you that I have a pose that I always do for pictures. You probably have a pose that you always do for pictures. That might be your power pose. Some of you have a power pose, but some of you don't have a power pose yet. So we're going to start, Alexis, working on your power pose. No, but all of you, push your chairs in. You need some space. And what Amy says, and I want you to look her up and just, read a little bit about what she says. But what she says is, if you do this for 1 minute and you hold it, it will make you feel differently. So we're going to start, because, we have some that are not as experienced. We're going to start with the Wonder Woman pose, but then we're going to end with whatever pose works for you. Okay? So I think I might need to turn on the... and you're familiar with Beyonce's pose, right? These are super power poses, but it sends a message, doesn't it?
Yeah.
She's looking down at him like, what? And how does he look? Like, yes, ma'am. Beyonce, Wonder Woman. Okay, so you ready? On 3. It's the Wonder Woman pose first. Okay, y'all got it? Okay, so make sure your feet are... Okay, wait, does somebody need some help? Wait, you need this? I know, I love this. Isn't that awesome? Did I put it on right? Okay. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, hit your pose. I don't feel no power in that. Let's do it again. All right, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that was a little bit better. I know. I see you, Mary. Okay. So this time I'm going to count to 3 again. And I want you to hit your own pose, because that's not really my power pose. My power pose is my arms up in the air. And that's freeing for me. So you'll see everywhere we go, I'm like, wait. Okay, wait a minute, let me do this. And then my husband's like, do your pose. And I'm like, I can't do it when you say do your pose. It just has to be. But when I do it, it's like my arms go up and I smile. Only because I can't put my arms up and not smile unless I'm in pain, which then I don't do it. But even if I'm in pain and I'm tired and the picture's about to be taken and we're somewhere we haven't been, I'm like, okay, wait. Okay. All right, so on 3. 1, this is your pose. Doesn't have to be Wonder Woman. It might be Wonder Woman, but it doesn't have to be. So 1, 2, 3, hit your pose. Oh, I love it. Love it. That's awesome. She's back there like, yes. I work out. I'm at Evans Fitness. Okay, one more time, because I didn't think you believed it. I didn't see a smile from everybody. All right, on 3, this is the last time. 1, 2, 3. Was it the same pose, a little different? Good. All right, now here's the key. When you hit the pose, you have to hold it for a whole minute. I know, you're like, what? Do we have that much time? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Hold it for a whole minute. Okay, so I'm not going to make you do that. Go ahead, have a seat. Have a seat. But you hold the pose for a whole minute. You could do this looking in the mirror or whatever. And I tell you, it will change how you feel. Did that change how you felt? A little bit? Woke you up a little bit? That's the whole point. Okay, so let me turn my lights back down. Everybody needs a hero. You know who mine is, right? My husband. He's my hero, but I like Wonder Woman. See, I can be Wonder Woman. I can't be like, oh yeah, my favorite superhero is my husband, but I kind of secretly like Wonder Woman. But anyway, so what did I learn? And I shared with you that I didn't realize how much this influenced me. And you may say, really? This woman is all about movies, cartoons, and kid stuff. Perhaps, but guess what? It formed who I am. It makes me be able to come up here and go, what? Yes, and not with an attitude. Not because I think I'm the best, but because I know who I am. Okay? So this is what I learned.
Tell Steve I want to see him the minute he gets back.
I know y'all remember. Okay. So I know some of you are going, oh my goodness, they had horrible graphics back then. But that's really not the point. What I love about it is that last little look, like, because she just threw her clothes in the closet. Like, she didn't hang them up, threw them in there, and then looked like, yeah. And then she went out. But I grew up watching that. And guess what we used to do? We would go out, and it's like, oh, it's time to, I'm turning into something else. Yes. And guess what? Surprise, I'm stronger than I was. I'm like, I've been doing that. I also went in the military, and I was a nurse. So was she. Who knew? No, when I wrote out my 10-year plan, it did not say I actually want to be Linda Carter and be Wonder Woman and join the Navy and be a nurse. But I had no idea. So a lot of you have things that were put in a long time ago that excited you, that sparked something that you haven't referenced since you were a little girl. And I always try to speak to the little girl in all of us because she's still there. But it was there and you lost it. Or it was there and you suppressed it. Or it was there and somebody else said, yeah, you know what? You might not want to put that cartoon up on your wall because, you know. Yeah, okay. Put it up bigger. No, just kidding. Okay. So I enjoy that. Image, that's what we talked about. In presence, image, kind of intermesh, right? So we talked about presence, that was the P. Image is the I. Yes? We think? Okay. Is this what we're talking about? I love this slide. It has nothing to do with the presentation. But I saw it and I'm like, yes. Be a powerhouse. Whose house is it? Yeah, this is how it is at Catalyst. No, just kidding. So, image. We talked about clothes, and I said, yes, you could go to Goodwill and find some really good clothes, but these are some things to keep in mind. This is what I want you to take away from this, because I don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it. When we talk about image, you know what looks good on you. Don't try to wear something that looks good on somebody else. More importantly than what you wear is how it fits and how comfortable you are. It doesn't do you any good to wear 5-inch heels if you have to walk like this and your feet swell up in them and you can't move, right? I mean, I'm just saying, you have to learn how to leverage your best assets, yes? And that reminds me, before we get to expression, let me go back to image. These are just some pointers for professional attire, and you can consider this, but when you go to work every day now, are you wearing and presenting yourself the way that you did when you interviewed? Just a question, and just hold on to that. Because sometimes we go into the interview, our hair is up, we have on a suit, it's all, it's like, I have something to write with, I might take my glasses. And then you get the job, and it's like, oh, wait, hold on, let me get in here, wait till they see me, and because I got this job, I'm gonna go dye my hair platinum blonde, and I'm gonna get that tattoo I always wanted, got a job, all those things. And so then you come back, and they're like, okay, and it's like, but you got the job, right? I mean, but how many of us do that? Or you turn 50. It's like, I don't care what they think. I'm going in here with my, looking like Bill Belichick. Anybody like football? Okay, Bill Belichick. I'm gonna go in here with my cutoff sweatshirt, the sleeves, and my jeans, and my maternity pants, even though my youngest child is 22 years old, and my flip-flops, because this is who I am. They can either take it or leave it, and I've been here for a long time. Okay, so you get my point. I could go on and on. The point is they want who they hired. And when you change that, you change that. And when you change that, they change how they relate to you. Because I'm like, wow, I had no idea she was goth. But I did notice that for 3 weeks straight, it was all black. It didn't occur to me until I saw the black fingernails. But that's okay. Mary Kay takes them all. No, just kidding. Okay, I know. You're like, oh. All right, so those are just some pointers on that. So image, presence, all those things factor in, and then expression. So in this case, I did ask a few people. I have to admit, I talked to Haley, I talked to Megan, I talked to Shay, and I said, what do you want to take away from this presentation? What did you come to get? And there were a few things a lot of people wanted to know, that them included, well, how do I come across as powerful, that I know what I'm doing, I'm successful, I'm confident, but I'm not overly assertive? Guess what? Any man that you work with doesn't care how he's coming across. Doesn't care, could care less. They don't walk in saying, was that a little rough? Heck no. All right, just saying. So you have to know how to communicate, and that's as important as knowing what you are saying. So earlier I said you could not know anything, but if you look like you do, then people will at least give you their attention. To keep their attention, you actually have to know what you're saying. Be who you say you are. So again, image, it reminded me, my pastor was actually talking about this recently at church, and I took my own notes, because every time somebody drops something in, I'm like, oh, not that I'm taking notes like fat, bald, red, white, and blue tie. When my pastor's talking, I have my other notes, and you will not know what I'm putting. But he talked about prostitutes. He just threw it out there. He was saying something about there are only 3 things out at 3 a.m. or something like that. A loose woman, a drunk man, and a dog looking for a bone. That's what he said. What I wrote was, oh, hey, prostitutes, women in business. Okay, now think about that, though. So then I wrote down, oh, wait, there's something to this. The prostitute model for business. And somebody in here right now is saying, oh, no, she didn't. Yes, I did. I wrote down OEs. What do you think that means? Original entrepreneurs. Think about it. The first thing they had to know was what they had. Do you know what you have? Just question. They had to know what they had. Then they had to do a market test. With what I have, where's the best place for me to go market this so that I can get good customer feedback? Right? Before they enter into any engagement, she's laughing. It's true. But think about it. Am I making this up? They have to discuss the terms and the conditions before any funds are exchanged. I'm just saying, it's not like deposit and then we'll come back and get no, it's pay up front. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. This is what I've heard. But think about it. And so I'm like, wow. And guess what? 100% revenue generated. Okay, so smart prostitutes. Oh, those are call girls. Sabina's like, oh my goodness, she's still going on this. But my point is this, those are women who first knew what they had. Same thing Rachel's talking about, Rachel Groover. Same thing I'm talking about, the same thing Amy's talking about. Know what you have. This is my child calling me. Know what you have. Look, take care of your family. She'll be all right. But know what you have, and then know how to tap into it and how to leverage it. Because guess what? I am of the mind that women don't have to wear pantsuits to fit in professionally in an office. Why is that? Because men cannot wear dresses, but you have options. They go tie, no tie. And what do we have? Dress, skirt, sweater, jacket, scarf, no scarf, pants if we want to. I'm sorry, the child needs something. We'll take care of it. So, how you say it? So here's my little thing on communication. All right. So what were they talking about?
They know.
They know, but you notice there was some intonation, there were some gestures, they got each other. They totally understood what they were talking about. How many of you have those conversations at work? And it's like, yeah, but I'm not getting anything. Did you understand what they were saying? So this is what makes conversation difficult, and this is the other piece, how we communicate, how we express ourselves. What are some things that makes conversation difficult in your workplace? Anybody? Ego. Good. Yes.
Certain personalities that people are dealing with come across as difficult.
Yeah. Anybody else have difficult conversations? Assumptions. Ah, what types of assumptions?
Assuming that you knew the backstory or the circumstance from 2 years ago that created what's happening today.
Interesting. Thank you. All right. Opinions vary. You think you're ready for a promotion, but nobody else does. Stakes are high. You believe that you should be able to contribute to the critical things. Have any of you been sitting in a boardroom or at a table and you're like, I know they just said that and everybody agreed, but that was totally stupid. Okay, no, don't say yes, just because this is on video and no, just kidding. Yes, and emotions run strong. So people always say, oh, women are so emotional. Yes, we are. All right, or you're new to the team and you just got there and for some reason they resent you. Anybody have that experience? Okay, good. So this is how you manage difficult conversations. You can avoid it, act like it's not happening. You can face it and handle it poorly. I've done that many times and gotten in trouble for it. Or you can face it and handle it well. And people who function at that last level generally had to work it out. So I have some stories. I'll just tell you one. I was at a training event. I was not in leadership, but I thought I should be. The person did a terrible job. I was upstairs in the building all the way at the end, so I was talking to somebody else, and I said, oh my goodness, some people are just so blankety blank, because I don't cuss anymore, gung-ho. They have us doing so much stuff, and this is just stupid. I just don't agree with this, right? And it was between me and somebody else. And so then, a few days later, I had the opportunity to sit down and get some feedback. It was my evaluation. And the person that was evaluating me had great things to say. Oh, when you were in leadership, you did this, you did that. It was awesome. However, I was sitting in the office the other day in the evening, down here in the corner, and I heard somebody talking, and it was you. And I think you said something like, some people are so blankety blank, and I was sitting there like, really? And he's like, yeah, the vent system here is awesome. And I'm like, okay. So a lot of people would be like, oh, you just get small and like crawl out, right? And so it affected my evaluation, but it taught me something something good very early. Check your ventilation. No, just kidding. Some things don't have to be said, and they don't necessarily have to be said out loud. Nobody knows what you're thinking. Nobody knows what's in your little secret notepad. But be conscious of what you're saying out loud. Be conscious of what you're sending in that email. But just know that if what you said is overheard or somehow found out, you better be ready to own it. And so what could I say? That wasn't me? I was like, yes. Yes, it was. All right, so knowledge check. How many professions out there are 100% male? Anybody? Raise your hand. Want to take a guess? Name one.
Football players.
Yeah, it used to be. There is one young lady who is a professional football player, not in the NFL, but for a team. Was that you, Asia? For a team in Texas, and she's actually a running back. The other women were kickers, but she's a running back. She's for real. She got in the game. I watched the footage. They hit her, bam, because they were waiting. Somebody was like, watch this. I'm about to take this chick out. Hit her hard. She went down, got up, said, is that all you got? I was like, yes. Okay, anybody else want to guess? Another all male, the only few, how many? Are there any? Yes. I'm sorry. Navy SEALs. Used to be. Yeah, not anymore. There are women now going through finished Ranger training, Marine Corps snipers, going through, I think they're going through SEALs training right now. In the past had been exclusively men, but no longer. Anybody else?
President.
Is it male only?
To this point, we have not broken the barriers that are there. I'm not saying that he can't compete, but it has not been done.
Okay, fair enough. You just won a ball. No, just kidding. Fair enough. It is not a male only profession, but so far there's only been only been men that have held it. So yes. Anybody else?
Are there any professional baseball umpires that are women? I know there is football, NFL, but what about baseball?
Baseball, there was one female professional team years ago, like many, many years ago, predates the 1920s. There are women who actually played on a co-ed team. I don't know if there's an umpire, but I know they played technically professional baseball, because that's what I was thinking, football, baseball. No ball for you, Yvonne. Anybody else? No, I know. Just kidding. Any other guesses? No? Okay. So here's the great news. There is nothing today except two jobs, professions that women cannot have. Nothing else. So years ago when we were coming up, there were many. Even 10 years ago, there were many. Now there are two. Sperm donor and the Pope. For women, I said, I think I'm gonna go with black and pink because it kind of shows my both sides of me. I'm like, I can be soft and gentle, but I'm fierce. So I am not a Mary Kay entrepreneur, nor am I Avon. But guess what? Men sell Mary Kay and Avon. When it started out, Mary Kay Ash had a vision that this was how women could get started as entrepreneurs. Great business plan if you ever want to do some research, Christine. No, just kidding. If you ever want to read. And I'm going to stop messing with you because I don't like to read. But anyway, so when people think Avon or Mary Kay, they think women. But there are men that sell it. In fact, we have a representative at our church. And I'm like, really? Is he selling it or is he selling it for his wife? No, it's him. All right, so I wanted to share this with you, and I had put it in and then I took it out, so I just need you to kind of digest it. But one of the things about being powerful and having presence, we tend to think these are characteristics you must have. Alpha male characteristics. You see that I crossed out male. Not all of them apply to women, but some of them do. And these people are confident, mentally tough, have presence, they don't overreact, they know how to dress. Yeah, all those things are great. And these are things to aspire to, but it's just kind of this is what you should know, because it does make a difference. I like this one. I wanted to just say it, but I can't say it without smiling. But they do. And they're not looking for validation from anyone. So when I said, women, we go in and we're like, I wonder, okay, I'm good. And then we're like, all you need is one person to doubt what you said or question you. So gender differences in communication, yes, it does factor in and it does play a role, because this is what I learned. Guys, you go in there and they're like, hey, it could be Mike and Steve. And Steve says to Mike, that's an ugly tie. What the hell were you thinking? And, Mike is like, screw you. And guess what? They go on with their day. But if it was, let's see, Jackie and Susie. And Jackie said, Susie, that's an ugly blouse. What the hell were you thinking? Do you think she'd take it the same way? You think she'd look at her blouse and say, well, screw you? No, she said, yeah, what was I thinking? Wait a minute. Is this my blouse? Wait, is my blouse ugly or am I ugly? Well, she's ugly. And then all day we're like, well, wait a minute. And then you go, hey, is my blouse ugly? Then you take a selfie. I don't think it's ugly. And then, okay, guess what? What's the difference? Mike understood it was about his tie. That's it. Let's move on. That has nothing to do with work. It has nothing to do with my abilities. It has nothing to do with me. It's my tie. He doesn't like it, screw him. My wife bought it. But Susie is still kind of ruminating and you know what? She might even go home and say, let me put this in the back of the closet because this was an ugly blouse. Even though when she bought it, it was the best blouse ever. So consider that. I'm not saying that's you, but I'm saying that it happens. Men can put each other down, keep moving. Women, we try to, let me empower you. Let me speak positivity. Let me not tear you down. Oh, Allison, that was an awesome idea. Oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Does that happen? I don't know. So here's a classic conundrum, because I know we're getting close to the end. Why won't men ask for directions? Everybody says, why won't anybody have that experience? Boyfriends, husbands that don't ask for directions? Even though you have a GPS now? They don't for this reason, because it puts them in a position of being one down. They have to ask someone else, and that gives the power to someone else. Who knew? You're welcome. So just let them go through that whole thing. It's all good. Play a game on your phone while they figure it out. What do you notice about this picture? Other than you may recognize some of the people in it.
Men at the table and women at the back.
Anything else?
They look bored.
Anything else? Can you see it?
They're older men.
Oh, did somebody say fat, bald? No, just kidding, just kidding. No, they are older. Anything else? No? Well, she hit it on the head. One of the things that I consistently notice and in my experience is I'll go to a conference room for a meeting and I go in and it's almost as if there's a women's only section and it's along the wall. Really? And guess what? If you tend to go into the meeting and you get there early and you say, well, I'm just going to sit over here on the wall because I don't, guess what? You will not be invited to the table. Don't wait for that because it's not going to happen. If it does happen, it's because somebody didn't show up. Oh, Bill won't be here. Come on up to the table. Oh, heck no. Go in, sit at the table, and have someone ask you to leave. But don't say, I went to the Women on the Way program and she told me to sit at the table. Know your work environment. But I notice that all the time. This was on the news not too long ago. It was a board meeting and they were discussing what was happening. And I'm like, Mike, which is actually my Mike, take a picture of this. And he's like, what? I'm like, look at this. I can't believe it. It's exactly what I've been talking about. He's like, what? Bald, fat? No, just kidding. No, he didn't notice anything particular about this. Okay, is it a big deal? No. I'm sure they're taking some good notes, but that's not their job. All right, so stereotypically female traits. Isn't this interesting? How many of you find yourself saying these things? I don't know if this will work, but you probably already thought about, as I twist my hair, you probably already thought about this, but, and this may be a silly question. Really? Come on, ladies. We don't have to do that. We don't have to ask permission to enter the conversation. And then, again, I thought that was interesting with this study, that in meetings, men spoke longer. Where and when, other than in a boardroom or conference room, do men speak longer than women? Nowhere. We talk all the time until we go in there and sit on the wall and we have nothing to say. Really? Okay. So this is what we tend to say, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but we speak at a lower tone because we don't want to be too loud. Now, this is true for women everywhere in the world except Georgia. These women are loud, and it's like, hi, what are we talking about today? And I'm like, whoa, not a volume problem here. However, again, if you're not confident about what you're saying, you tend to talk in a low tone. Oh, I think this might be right, but I'm not sure. And you say it. Okay, no, own it. Be loud and wrong. So the young lady that shared this with me was telling a story. I know, again, a story, and I got like 3 minutes. But she was telling a story about how she went on a field trip for the first time because she was a doctor. She didn't have time. But it was her daughter's field trip, and they went to a museum, and they had the boys and the girls, and they were sitting there, and the lady was like, okay, we're going to talk about dinosaurs. Who can tell me what happened to the dinosaurs? And she said, and all of the boys were like, me, and they're yelling out stuff. Meteor. They ate bad food, right? And she's like, She looks around and the girls are just sitting there. And she's like, okay. And so the lady calls the little boy up and she says, what happened to the dinosaurs? And he goes, I don't know, one of them farted. And she goes, you did such a great job, thank you, and gives him a prize. Then he goes and sits down. And so she's like, what? How is this happening? So she's looking at the girls, she asked another question. Does global warming, whatever the question was, and there's another little boy just jumps up. No, because the color is blue. It's like, what? So she says, I'm looking at my daughter and I'm like, you know the answers to these questions. I know because you're talking about it all the time at home. Get up there and answer the question. Guess what? We teach our young ladies that they are to sit, wait their turn, be polite, raise their hand, wait until they're called on, and those things will not get you ahead in business. If you sit and you remember or you tap into that little girl, you will be sitting on the wall quietly taking notes for the rest of your careers. Okay, no, I'm not a prophet. But I want to give you something to think about. Because, yes, they knew the answers, but they weren't willing to just jump out there and say something because they didn't want to be wrong. They didn't want it to be stupid. They didn't want to be embarrassed. Those boys didn't care. They wanted a prize. Give me some candy. Okay? So consider that. All right. In the apology. Oh, my goodness. Consider how you talk to your subordinates, and then consider how you talk to your superiors. And how does that relative power affect your choices? Are you mean to some people and confident with some people, but then with others you shy away? And how often do you say you're sorry when you're not? Oh, my goodness. That makes me so crazy. I'm sorry. I have a question. I'm sorry. Can I say this? Okay. And then indirect language. Again, this project has really become bigger than I thought it would be versus I need you to help me with this project. These are just a few examples. There's certainly other ones. Indirectness is generally perceived as less honest and less confrontational. But, hey, it's okay if you know how to use it. So, what's the whole point? The point is, and this is also from Amy Cuddy, I'm not taking any credit. Most people say fake it till you make it. And she says fake it until you become it. Many of us fear getting into the workplace or getting the job, and then you go, oh, are they going to find out I don't know what I'm doing? Is somebody going to find out that I don't know anything? Or am I supposed to be here? Many of us are in that shadow and we're defeating ourselves. Guess what? You got the job. You will figure it out. Give yourself time. You don't need to know it in the first week, the first month, or even the first year. And more importantly, if that place is not working for you, you don't believe in their mission and vision and values, that is not where you should be because you cannot grow in that type of environment. Don't be afraid to bring your best self to everything. Oh, we were just having a birthday lunch. Okay, great. I'm coming in there ready. Happy birthday. I might jump out the cake. No, just kidding. I wouldn't do that. But fake it until you become it. And then some of you are saying, oh, I already got it. I know this already. Well, then act like it. Got it? Any questions? No? All right, I need one volunteer. All right, come on up here. It's Asia, right? Yeah. Okay, come on up here, Asia. So you might be a powerhouse. You might have to work on it. Oh, I'm 2 minutes over. All right, Asia, I want you to come right here, and I want you to show us your best transformation spin. That's what that's called. Okay. That's what Wonder Woman did. Don't take anything off. But transformation spin. She did a transformation spin. That's what it was called. I had no idea. You saw I gave you, because I know a lot of you didn't watch it back when I watched it back in the 70s. So you saw her spin. Do we need to talk about it? No. Okay. So I'm going to get out of the way. Your best transformation spin. Okay. Well, hold on. She didn't start out with her arms up. As long as you feel. Hold on. Wait. Do you need this? Okay. Be careful. Those little combs. Okay. You got this. Okay. Yep. Stick it down in there. Okay. All right. Go ahead. No. Oh, no. I had to get my own. McDonald's, that was plastic and cheap. No, this is real. Okay. That's all yours. Yes, let's give Asia a hand. All right. So I was going to make all of you do a spin, but you all seem like you really didn't even want to do the power pose. So what she gets for volunteering is a 2-hour coaching session, because that's what we do. It's not a commercial for my business. But what we do is we coach, we train, we do executive advising. So at the level that you think that you may want to become a CEO or not a CEO, and senior executive leader or a respected leader, though that's some of what we do, some of what I shared with you, things that have been tried and true. But again, learning from you what you think you need and tapping into that. So ladies, I just thank you so much for allowing me some time to come in. Hopefully I dropped some good nuggets for you. There's so much more. I enjoyed it. I hope that you practice your power poses. 1 minute, no less. Don't give me a 10-second pose. That doesn't work. It has to be a whole minute. But thank you again, and I look forward to working with you and seeing you in the future. So thank you. That's me. Hold on, let me turn the light down. That's me in one of my power poses. So those are some of the resources I gave you. There you go. And I have those books up here. So that's it. Oh, let me bring up my partner. Yeah, that would. I know, isn't that's like workplace harassment, isn't it? Only when you're not married. So this is the other half of Catalyst. This is Dr. Michael Perry, and he's actually the coach. I'm a mentor, but he does coaching. He is also a psychologist. I just kind of throw that out there. I know, because he always says, I don't tell people I'm a psychologist. But he is, because I'm all about transparency and putting it out there. But I just wanted to publicly bring him up and thank him for his IT support today. And Anthony Carley on video back there. Stories to Tell is also giving us stories to tell. So one thing that I encourage you to do as you practice and you go out, and I know I'm supposed to be done, but since my picture came up, I thought I would talk for another 15 seconds. But I encourage you to record yourself, to watch yourself, so that then you know how to improve. So we're all learning, and we continue to learn. There is no one that knows it all, has it all together, but you need to make sure that you can put it back together should you lose it. All right, so thank you again. All right, I'm gonna get out. You gotta go back to work.